again, everyone. Welcome back to the Fandom Zone podcast. I'm one of your co-host, Charles Skaggs, back in the Fandom Zone once again, ready to talk some Stargirl with my fellow Fandom Zoner and post-birthday boy, Jesse Jackson. How you doing, Jesse?
I am fine, Charles. Sitting here at 61, feeling like I'm 51,
Yeah.
but excited to be talking a really interesting episode of Stargirl. Took a little dark turn this week.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. We had some characters die, and the true big bad, apparently, of the season steps into the forefront in the form
Yes.
of Icicle, which, hey, is also the title of the episode we're going to be discussing today, because apparently they're not very original with the titles on
So
this show.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Charles, because I was going to read the same thing.
Yes,
One of the complaints we had with Titans is the
yes.
lack of originality on episode titles. And I don't know, I have not compared writing rooms. Like, I haven't taken Stargirl's writing room, took a list of all the writers and Titans, but I'm thinking there may be one guy or gal on there that's like, oh, no. Simple is better. Keep it simple. Let's just, whoever the main character is, let's just name it.
Well, I think the common thread is um, Jeff Johns,
Hmm.
who is the executive producer on both shows,
Okay.
and then also probably Greg Berlanti, who's
Yeah.
an executive producer as well. So
I don't know if he would have been involved the day to day as
no,
much
but
as
but
Greg,
I think Jeff
but yeah.
Johns definitely.
Yes. Every so.
All
Yeah.
right, so here at episode 179, like I said, we're talking Icicle, which is the third episode of Stargirl, season one, written by Colleen McGuinness and directed by Michael Nankin, who's had some interesting directing credits. He directed a lot of episodes of the Battlestar Galactica remake from the early 2000s. And he's also directed episodes of the Dresden Files and the late lamented Dresden Files and Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh, pretty pretty decent genre resume
Exactly.
there.
Exactly. So perfect choice to obviously direct something like this. And curious to get your thoughts about this one because, like I said, this is the where Icicle steps into the forefront now that Brainwave is in a coma, and he already makes some very big moves right off the bat. So what did you make of this episode?
I liked it a lot. There, I was a little sad with and I'm hoping you can give me a Charles theory of what Icicle was trying to accomplish by killing not only um, William Zarick but the young Zarick. I don't quite understand what his purpose was, except he's just freaking evil.
Right.
Um, but I like this. I like I'm a little worried about the family dynamic with with Barbara and Mike,
Right.
and and how Courtney and everyone
Pat.
are going to work together. Pat are going to work together. I'm a little worried about that, like with the whole family dinners and such. But overall, this is a really good episode. And by the way, not to promote someone else's podcast because you certainly should listen to us first,
Right.
but it appears that on Word Balloon they're going to have Jeff Jones on every week after the episode,
Oh,
and
okay.
so he talked about that when he wrote the first two episodes, he thought of that as an hour movie, as a pilot movie, and that's
Yeah.
why they worked. The other thing he said that was interesting is going forward, there will be very little differences between the CW and the DC Direct episodes. That there will not be that much bonus episodes.
Okay.
That maybe just a minute here or there. But on the pilot too, it was really good.
Yeah. Well,
How
just
about you? Did you
well,
like the
for
episode?
well,
Go ahead.
we should definitely at least extend. Hey, Jeff Johns, if you're in the mood, you're always welcome on our podcast as well. So I just want to extend that invitation out there.
absolutely.
Lest you think you're not invited, sir. You're always invited to come on our podcast. But as for me, I really, I thought this was a decent episode. I didn't like it as much as the first two, but it's still a solid entry. And I like the fact that Icicle makes a statement right off the bat. Um, he's looking, he saw just that little bit of weakness from the wizard, and like didn't just kind of let it go. He took care of that potential threat right off the bat. So I kind of like the fact that he's paying attention. He knows what he wants. He's got obviously an agenda. Now, what exactly that agenda is, we don't know yet. But I'm curious to see how it plays out. And obviously, his machinations are, like you said, already affecting the family dynamic of the Dugan slash Whitmore um, family.
Yeah, it really does, Charles. And I it it I know we're going to get to that theory, but I get to that in one of our topics. But I'm looking forward to discussing it with it. Um, this is a unlike Brainwave Junior or Brainwave.
Yes.
Um, Icicle seems to be a well-rounded villain. There is some depth to him, and I think that was well done.
Yeah, I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, Brainwave only had 2 episodes, so it wasn't like there's a great opportunity to develop him as a character. But the fact that he came off so just impulsive made you
Yes,
think that, well, there's not as much depth there. Now,
but Icicles really only had one episode. You
right.
don't, and there's more depth. Now
Yeah.
that's all in the writing,
Well,
but it was a better, yeah,
well, I think it's also because they wanted to emphasize that, hey, he's really the guy in charge. and
absolutely.
and he certainly seems to be. He seems to have a tight control on his group. And like I said, when he was faced with a wizard, which we'll talk about here eventually in one of our topics, but
Okay,
he took that threat off the board quickly,
absolutely.
and we'll see how that plays out. So we have 4 topics that I want to talk about. We did get the introduction of some new characters just really quickly. Hunter Sandstone is Cameron Mahkent, who we find out is, obviously the son of Icicle. And I know in the comics he eventually becomes Icicle after the original Icicle is killed off. And so we'll see if that comes to play here, probably. Um, we got Will Dusner as Joey Zarick, who unfortunately meets a rather untimely end, a rather brutal end, which I want to talk about. And then Jim France as Sophus Mahkent and Kay Galvin as Lily Mahkent, Cameron's grandparents and the Icicles' parents, who apparently are why he's so screwed up because they're really eager to help him with his supervillain plan.
They really are. Yes.
And we can talk about them, obviously, later. But 4 topics, like I said. Topic number 1, let's talk about Stargirl and Stripe right off the bat. Um, so here we have um, Courtney and Pat fresh off of defeating Brainwave, putting him in a coma, and kind of dealing a little bit initially with the repercussions of that. And but then they're also Courtney is now Courtney and Pat both are kind of adjusting to the fact that Courtney's officially a superhero now, and how that's affecting their relationship with the rest of their family, and how they're having to keep secrets from the rest of their family. So, what did you make of these 2 characters in this episode?
I continue to really love the chemistry between these 2 characters and these 2 actors. There is she has an enthusiasm and a joy that is just infectious, and,
Right.
and I enjoy watching her. I really love Pat's weariness of, he's seen a lot of his friends die, and
Right.
he knows the consequences and the cost of being a quote unquote superhero, and he plays that really well. without being overly morose. There is just a weariness to the portrayal that's really nice. Um, and they continue just to sparkle between each other. I mean, this truly is, um, and it's I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it is this little, he's the gloomy, grumpy Gus, and she's
Yes.
like, "Oh, let's
Yeah.
go," and it just that interaction between them is really fun to see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's, Courtney, even though Pat tries to talk her down, is like, look, you're done being Stargirl. We're just gonna lay low, um, and hope that nothing further happens. But Courtney is just like, well, hey, there's got to be other members of the Injustice Society out there. And so, if you find out anything, let me know, and you can pick me up out of class, and then we can go fight crime. So she's very enthusiastic. Her attitude is to Pat, and she states this flatly. She goes, "Look, like we could have gotten killed, but we didn't."
Yeah, exactly.
And later, when after Joey gets killed, which we'll talk about Joey, but she makes that comment to him like, "Look, Pat tries to tell her, look, a kid died." And she goes to Pat back, she responds to Pat by going, yeah, a kid died, which is why we need to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
So um, it's interesting, that stance she's taking already. She's seeing she feels that evil must be fought.
Yes.
Well, Pat, because of his past experiences, have made him reluctant to confront that. So it's almost like Pat needs to. The dynamic here is Pat tempers and keeps Courtney from going too far, while Courtney balances him and keeps him from doing too little, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, the dynamic is really healthy. It's really interesting. He has no scene control. They used to be. It, that was a phrase we'd use at our house when we would watch a TV show where it seems like the teenagers were doing whatever they wanted, and Linda would say, "They have no scene control. They're not controlling their environment." Pat has no scene control. He is not able to keep anything rolling, despite his best efforts. But he
well,
keeps swinging. He keeps trying.
well, but I think it's that he's just a passive personality,
Yes,
and which is why he was relegated to the sidekick role
yes, I think
because
that's well
because
said.
he like Courtney is the type to be the leader.
Yes,
She's the alpha, obviously, of their relationship, and
she is.
Pat is the beta, I think.
I agree.
So as a result, yeah. But you notice also that Pat does, to Pat's credit, he does try to start asserting his alphaness a little bit with Mike,
Yeah,
because
I thought.
Mike, um, who's intentionally, I'm sure, is the point of the writers. He's becoming more obnoxious, and Pat tries to rein him in a little bit, like going, when I was a kid, I was into video games, this video game called Paperboy, and my dad made me get a paper route. So, Mike, you get to carry on the family tradition, and you're getting a paper route. So, what did you make of that scene?
So I really loved it a lot. Though the reality is, very few kids do paper routes anymore.
That's what I was wondering. It's just
Yeah.
like was he going to carry like three newspapers because hardly anybody gets the newspaper anymore,
Well, even that, when I,
except for older
I,
people.
yeah, I did a paper route once as an adult. It was between jobs, and tell you what, Charles, it was, it was definitely, if I had to list the worst jobs I've ever had, it
Yeah,
is.
that's up there,
Yeah, because you have to get up like at 3:30 in the morning.
right?
You have to go meet at the central place. They give you the papers. You have to put the two sections together.
Yeah,
Rubber
or
band it
more,
or
or
plastic. Yeah,
yeah,
put it in plastic. Put it in the plastic bag. Then throw them in your car, and then drive to all these apartment complexes on
right.
the third floor to drop off. So 50s guy in a kid in a bike, wandering around throwing the paper is not reality anymore. So I appreciate Pat's mindset, but I don't know if that's going to work out the way he thought it would.
Yeah,
I
I
would
don't
have,
think so. I don't think so either because I'm sure Mike's going to be coming home early, going, "Look, I'm already done. There's like hardly anybody that gets the paper anymore."
yeah. Well, and also, I would have said, you're going to work in the shop after work every day. Like he owns a body shop, he owns a mechanic shop. He should put Mike working there. But
I think that'll happen eventually.
yes,
Yeah, because if nothing else, and I'm still though waiting for when Mike figures out what's going on because
yes,
you know he will.
yeah. And
Because
I do think it's going to be, I think he is going to find it out first.
you think before Barbara.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, the family dinners. I mean, we're going to talk about Barbara in our next segment, but
Okay.
but what did you make of the rather awkward attempts at family dinners that don't quite work out as planned?
Well, I know you said we're going to talk about Barbara, but I'm going to
Yeah,
just mention for a moment.
yeah,
Okay, she's impressed her new boss. Now let's forget for a moment that her new boss is evil.
yes,
She doesn't know that. So she's impressed her new boss. He's like, "Hey, we're having a big meeting." And she says, "Nope, as much as I want to, I have a commitment for family dinner." And her new boss is okay with it.
right,
At least he appears, right?
yeah,
So then she gets there and no one's there.
yes,
I would be so PO'd. Like,
right.
okay, do you realize what I did? Where the F is
Well,
everyone?
I think that's why in the second attempt,
Yes,
she's the one who skips dinner,
right.
and you know that's why like Mike is going like, "Where's Barbara?"
Yeah,
And Pat is just like frustrated. He's like, "Look,
yeah,
not tonight.
let, yeah,
Let it
not
go."
tonight. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
So
yeah.
well, we'll see
Hmm.
how that plays out. All right.
Yeah,
So speaking of Barbara, unless there's anything else you
yes.
want to talk
No, not at all.
Pat and Courtney, let's move on. Topic number two. Let's talk about Icicle, our big bad, presumably a big bad of the season,
Yes,
and Barbara and the American Dream. As we learn just like a little bit more, at least we see. Um, Interestingly, we see the Icicle um, step into the forefront also at the American Dream, kind of shoving the gambler
yes,
off to the side, and
absolutely.
and obviously making a very big impression on Barbara as a result. So what did you make of our new big bad Icicle played by Neil Jackson?
So, I did have a little trivia that I was doing some research, going into IMDb, read a couple of interviews that originally he pushed back to Jeff Johns, going, "I don't I don't know if these two tones are going to work.
Right.
You're writing me someone who's really this evil villain, and the rest of the show is very upbeat and sunny. I don't know if this is going to work." And then after he watched this episode, he went back and said, "Okay, you're the man. You have a vision. I can see that." So I thought
It
it was
worked on Buffy
interesting.
with the mayor. If you
Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
I don't know why it wouldn't work here.
Yeah. Um, I liked seeing his introduction. He was a devoted husband. And it does appear that, um, and did you get the feeling that his parents are, I did not catch the accent. Were they Russian? Were they German?
I think it's more German
Okay, that's what I got
because
the feeling.
they were speaking German.
Okay.
So because you know I've taken German in high school and a little bit in college, so I kind of picked up on that. So I think it's they're of
Okay.
either Austrian or Germanic
Okay.
descent.
So we know what that implies.
Right,
I,
right, right.
and it seems to give this
Especially
fascist vibe,
yeah, especially with the
right?
Justice Society's histories with Nazi supervillains.
Yes. So that gives you a good backstory. And obviously, as his wife lay dying, she is, make the world a better place, destroy anyone who gets in your way.
Yeah.
I mean,
So were you surprised by that? You know we get that little flashback at the beginning, and Jordan's all we know he's a supervillain, and
Yes.
he's promising to make the world pay. But so we figure his wife is going, as she's dying, is going to try to talk him out of it. But no, she's
Mm-mm.
just like, nope, nope, we're gonna like destroy everything, scorched earth.
Yeah, she was all in, all in. Just put it all in the center, you know. No, I like that. I was pleasantly surprised. In other
Right,
words, not like, oh, I didn't get it. I thought that was really well done. Um, I am. I don't know what's going to happen since I have not read the comics.
right,
I, I, and it appears this. I know the series
yeah,
of not just Stargirl, but Infinity Incorporated, which I did read,
yes,
was all about legacies and families and generations. And so it appears that they're trying to build this in this episode, this series as well, which is kind of nice. I like that. So I did wonder.
Well, that was kind of a common theme with Jeff Johns in the Justice Society of America comic and
Okay.
JSA comic that he did.
Mhm.
That sense of generational passing of the torch
Yeah.
and everything that implies.
So I do hope that we are going to get some reversal because right now it appears good, good parent, good child, bad parent, bad child. I
Right.
do hope we get a little bit of someone
Well, I think that's what's
who
going to
can.
happen. I think that's what's going to happen with Brainwave Jr. Hopefully.
I still don't believe that on him.
Well,
I'm betting against this kid.
okay. All right. We'll
I
see.
don't like him.
We'll see who's right.
I'm hoping Icicle Jr. is the one that's going to surprise us.
He
That
could.
yeah.
He could.
So,
We'll find out.
yeah. All
But
right. Yeah.
but
So I he's and so what is your theory?
yeah,
Why did he kill um
the wizard.
the wizard and his son?
Well,
Why do you think he wanted to? I mean, did he want to just teach the wizard a lesson that, are you're not doing what I tell you to do. You kind of seem to be going off on your own
yeah.
tangent, so I'm going to make you pay.
Well,
And then when he tried to push against them, he, killed him just to go ahead and make his point. What do you think that happened? Why?
well, first, there's that scene on the front porch between
Yes.
the icicle and the wizard, where the wizard comes home and he finds Jordan waiting for him, and he goes, "Well, Jordan's like, well, why didn't you call me?" And he says that it was Brainwave who had to tell me what's going on, and so Jordan's kind of like accusing him of not being ambitious enough, saying he thinks too small, and he starts talking about true power. And so I think it's just he sees the wizard as being weak and not up to snuff. And I think, he gave the wizard an opportunity to pledge his loyalty to like, yes, yes, so I'm sorry, we're going to do something about that. But that's not how the wizard reacted. He was more wishy-washy about it, less committal, and so I think that Jordan decided, well, okay, this guy's a weak link. Let's just cut ties right now
Yeah.
because I'm too close to achieving my goal.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair.
That's my guess, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that makes sense, so let's talk about Barbara in the
Mhm.
icicle. We kind of teased a little bit of that, but so what did you make of Icicle kind of uh, taking charge at the American Dream
Mhm.
where she works? And I'm not exactly sure what she does there.
I'm not sure. I know she was surprised she ended up getting an office. She
Right.
didn't expect one.
But
What
Icicle obviously makes a big impression on Barbara.
Yeah, and so here's the opposite of last week's worst staff meeting ever.
Hmm.
This week, she, and you could see Barbara is very hesitant to bring up an idea
Well, after
because
getting burned by the gambler
exactly,
last time, yeah,
yeah, it just
twice.
yeah, you see why, but in this case, and you see the gambler try to push it, but Jordan goes, wait, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
and he says, okay, let's do this. And
Talking
so
about
I
this
really,
theater that they were going to tear
yeah,
down.
yeah, that in that way, instead, what we can do, and in a nice bit of irony, right? They're going to name the theater after,
The
you know,
wizard.
yeah, the wizard's, he and his son's names,
Right.
in tribute
Zarick.
to him, which is a really diabolical twist that,
Yes.
I caused this, and then I have this true double-sided that, now in front of everyone, I'm gonna appear that I'm mourning my friend and I'm honoring him, even though I'm the one that caused the death.
Yeah.
Really nice little scene. So I
I kind of wonder what the other members of the Injustice Society are
mhm.
going to think of the wizard being taken off the board. Like, well, am I next?
Oh, I had not thought of that. I was thinking of just, so this plays both ways.
Right.
It helps the
It keeps the
uninformed
troops in
masses,
line. Yeah.
but also sends a message to that. Ooh, really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice villain. And so I'm curious to see. I worry that Barbara is going to get in over her head because this is a bad place to be. But
Right.
we'll see what happens. And we
Yeah.
still don't know what the American dream is, though I assume it is something very fascist and very exclusion, and trying to restore their vision of what America or the world should be,
Right.
which would be very 50ish looking,
Yeah.
very white, very normal, very not the rainbow patchwork of that most of us embrace as part of what's great about America.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's a nice theme to cover in this.
Yeah. I think it does feel kind of more like a fascist agenda wrapped up in patriotism.
Right.
And the ultimate irony, right? That
Yeah.
like, and which is, obviously very relevant to today
I was going
where
to make that very statement, not to get too political, but very
yes,
relevant to today. And
exactly.
I think what's going to be really strong, as I skip to our fourth topic just as a taste,
Yes.
is the diversity we're going to see in our new super team.
Well, and I think that's intentional.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
sticking up, now the question is it a racist agenda? Is it a fascist agenda? Or is it both? We don't know.
And my guess is it's both.
It's probably both. It's
Yeah.
probably both. But, which is interesting because Icicle never had that character trait in the comics.
Yeah.
So this is something new added to the character. So if you're looking for something to read the comics and probably get a better idea about what he's up to, I don't think you're going to find it there.
Okay.
So a little heads up there, but we'll see. And Barbara obviously very flattered by someone at her new company who's actually responding to her ideas, and ultimately, I think that's going to get her in a lot of trouble. So I guess it's going to be up to obviously Courtney and Pat to kind of get her out of it. I'm sure.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Topic number 3. Let's talk about William the Wizard and his son Joey. Rest in peace, both of you guys. Wizard, we hardly got to know ye. Sadly, one of the big Injustice Society members that I was kind of curious to see how they would develop him, taken off the board right off the bat. And so was his son Joey, which obviously deeply affects Courtney because as we find out that reminded that Joey was one of the first kid at her new school that was actually nice to her. So what are your thoughts on these two characters and their fates?
So I have a hot magic opinion
Okay,
that I need to share.
hot magic
I
opinion. We don't get too many of those here.
no. I am a massive Penn and Teller fan.
Okay, yeah, I know that. I know that. I'm aware of this.
Yeah, and Penn has guest starred as in different TV shows, sometimes playing a magician.
Right?
And if you see, and I watched Penn and Teller's Fool Us,
Yeah.
and a common theme is I have you pick a card, you put it back in the deck, I reveal you the card, you say no, that wasn't it, and then there is a further reveal where if you look in your pocket or something comes up on a banner, it's the correct card.
Right.
So it is. This show tried to imply that Joey wasn't that good and that he just failed the magic trick.
Right.
Joey was setting it up for a further reveal, and he didn't want to make Courtney look bad, so he just went along with it.
Interesting. No, well, I don't see. I didn't see it that way at all. That was actually one of my favorite scenes
Hmm.
because I saw that. Yeah, Joey wasn't that good, and um, Courtney, because he was so nice to her before, especially with all the students surrounding them, it could have been a very embarrassing moment for Joey. So instead, she just tried, and I love this about what Courtney did. She repaid him a kindness and lied to make him look better in front of everybody. And I thought that was a really great moment and showing the kind of person that she is. She's caring
Absolutely.
and loyal to people that are nice to her. And so it obviously, it sets up a great, later on after the tragedy of when Joey gets killed,
Hmm.
that why she takes it so personally.
Yeah, I really did, and I think your vision is what they wanted,
Right.
but I couldn't
But you
stop
but you saw it a
thinking of that.
different way.
I saw, yeah, I mean, I just saw because that is such a common magician trope where you go, oh, and you look disappointed, and then you get the reveal later that, oh, this was all part of the trick. You were right, but
Right.
my first thought was when she doesn't give him the right card, it's like, oh, Courtney, you screwed up his trick, you know? Um, so it,
But I think I
he
think
is
she I
such a,
think I
yeah.
think she saved him
Yes, she did.
in the
Um,
process.
Such a sweet moment, such a sweet young man. We set it up that and it, there is a little bit of implied dorkiness
Right.
that people that learn magic early are have a little bit of nerdiness,
Well,
dorkiness.
he had
Yeah,
glasses, and if he's walking around in a magician's top hat,
right.
he's going to get picked on.
Yeah, and like with, there are people that um that have that deck of cards in their hand all the time because
Right.
they are always practicing and doing. So I thought that, and I thought it was a really sweet scene where he does the levitating card trick
Right.
for his dad, and his dad gives him a little bit of coaching in a loving way. Like, because that's another thing that's very clear if you spend any time listening to like Penn podcast or Piff the Magic Dragon podcast, and when they talk about magic,
Right.
is that they're always learning and they are always picking up, other magicians give you feedback on how you can improve your presentation and what to do. And I just thought that was a really sweet moment. He may have been an SOB as a villain, but he appeared to be a very loving and caring father. And I also thought it was devastating because you and I had both talked about we really liked the mom last week.
Right.
The wizard. I can't
Yeah.
remember her
His
name now.
her oh, I'm trying to remember what her name is, but yeah, I
Yeah,
know who you're talking. Oh, Denise.
yeah, and the sadness of her because she's worried about Joey, she's worried about Rory, and she finds out what's going on. I thought that was a very sad moment,
Well,
and just kind of tragic for her.
speaking of Denise, now that you brought her up,
Yeah,
did you catch that look on her face after the announcements talking about um, they're both the deaths of her son and her
yeah,
husband. Now she's all alone,
yeah,
and this that kind of look that makes you wonder, well, what's going to happen to her,
yeah,
especially after that little meet cute that we talked about last time in the gymnasium.
Hmm.
So is she gonna go come confiding in Pat about who her husband really was, and that her fears that he was murdered? Do you think?
Yeah, I think she could show up in future. I could see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think we've seen the last of her. Just a
yeah,
feeling. I think they set that up for a reason. And now with obviously with both the wizard and his son murdered, I think she's got nothing to lose at this point, right?
yeah. Well,
Or
spoilers.
looking for a
Yeah,
payback, probably.
spoilers. According to IMDb, she is at least listed in one more episode.
Okay, well there
Yeah.
you go.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about Joey and William's deaths.
Yes.
So Joey. Um, Unfortunately, the victim during the battle that Icicle is having with Courtney and Pat, um, Icicle decides he the Icicle in a very strategic move um, sees that school bus full of kids which includes Beth Chapel, the future Dr. Midnight, and Joey. It's driving across a bridge, so Icicle ices the bridge, making the bus crash. Fortunately, Pat is able to fly over there and stop it.
Yes.
In a very Superman-like moment. Raising the bridge or the bus back up on the bridge, and Joey gets a look at Stripe
Yes.
before Courtney blinds everybody with a flash of light to distract. And but you think, okay, well Joey's safe, and then they get everybody off the bus, and then all of a sudden there's another truck that comes, and that Icicle intentionally uses to kill Joey, seizing a moment.
Yeah.
So what did you make of that? That like,
So
oh, he's safe, and then all of a
yes,
sudden,
he's safe, and
boom,
then
boom, boom,
he's got his
boom,
cards.
he's
One of
dead.
them flies off.
Yeah,
He goes to get it, and then you see the shock of that and the terror of the driver, like oh no, and then the card flowing. Really well done. Um, and then when you get um, the wizard going to confront Jordan, the Icicle, and then Icicle just destroying him.
right.
And then, and the great scene, you've got a mess, and his parents, oh, we'll clean it up. No problem. And I just it.
So what do you think Icicle bothered to kill Joey intentionally?
So
Was it just a sadistic gesture? Do you think to torture him just because like he knew he was going to kill the wizard
yeah.
and he knew the wizard was going to come after him?
So I go with your theory because I had
Yeah,
asked you that earlier in the episode. And I'm going to go with your theory and kind of throw it on is Joey was a warning that unless you do what I want you to do, the people you care about I control this world
right,
and you will do what I want you to do. And then when Zarick, right, is so angry and goes, Icicle's like, okay, this guy is learning the lesson and I'm just going to kill him because I can't trust him being alive. He may get lucky and actually hurt me or
right.
hurt someone I love. So I'm going to have to just take care of this. Um, so I think it is, and I do not get the feeling,
I
and I
thought
could be
I got the feeling that he almost wanted the wizard to come after him. So he get like well, just I know I'm going to take you off the board, so I might as well have some fun doing it. So I'm going to kill your kid, and then you're going to get all pissed and come after me, and then I'll take you off the board then.
so I can't argue with you, but I did not get that vibe versus like Brainwave saying, "Oh, I forgot how much I enjoyed this."
Yeah,
I felt more Icicle was more. It was just matter of fact. It's what I have to do, and I'm moving the pieces around, and therefore I had to do this. I don't take any pleasure in it. It's just he's cold as ice. Pardon the pun,
yeah.
and it's just what I need to do. Um, I could see both sides of it, but that's how when I read it and watched it, I felt that way.
That's a it's obviously shows how much Icicle is a bad, heartless villain. Um,
Yes, he is cold as ice.
that he's yeah, exactly, and you love that pun, don't you?
Yes, I do.
All right, that's very worthy of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit in Batman and Robin.
I'm
So
hearing foreigners,
cold as ice, cold as
70s
ice.
pop
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
Yes.
She's cold as ice.
Yes.
Maybe I should have titled the theme of that. I should have done an ice theme, I guess. All right. Anything else about Joey and the wizard and how they died?
No, just rest in peace, Joey. May in the future all your magic tricks and your afterlife go smooth. So
Yeah,
maybe he's sitting at Houdini's feet,
yeah,
learning a sleight of hand.
yeah. And lastly, we leave Icicle, whose parents reassure Cameron that, or reassure Icicle that Project New America will keep Cameron safe.
Yeah.
So this is all again the plan. Apparently, the grandparents are in on it. Icicle's in on it. I don't think Cameron is. I don't think Cameron has a clue what's going on, but
No, I don't think so either.
not yet anyway.
Mhm.
We'll see how that plays out. All right, so topic number 4. I want to talk a little bit about the new Justice Society of America, at least the one that's coming. We know it's coming. Um, where, because to kind of console Courtney, Pat takes Courtney all the way to the JSA headquarters and shows her the heroes who died. And I think he was intending to, like, look, this could get very serious. Look, all these people died. But Courtney saw it very differently. She saw it as like, hey, these heroes were important. We need to make more of them. And all this stuff is just lying around. So what did you make of Courtney and Pat visiting the JSA headquarters?
So I have to do first the logic part of myself.
Right,
So, and I realize this is not the purpose. So bear with me for a minute. Okay, you have an empty building.
right.
Who's paying the electric bill? Who's keeping the lights on? Why is this just there? Is there a magical spell that somehow keeps power going on there? Is the building owned right outright? Who, if
Yeah,
not, is there a mortgage being paid? Why would you have this building
because it's
just?
comics.
Yes, I get it. I'm
Yeah,
just saying those bothered me.
right.
Um, there is,
There could be a
if you
foundation. We don't know.
right, exactly.
Probably
There
probably started by
is,
Carter Hall or somebody.
yeah,
Yeah,
so much greatness in that scene.
Alan Scott.
Um, it is the the banners that are in the style of Alex Ross.
Right,
I think that's a very clear homage to Alec Ross's iconic, covers that he's done and
right.
posters. The Justice Society table, the tribute of, this is almost a little bit like the Superman Fortress of Solitude or Legion of Superheroes trophy rooms,
Right.
that you've seen in the past. So you've got all the items, and we we hear some really good tales. And once again, Pat is bearing his soul to Courtney, and all she's getting out of this is why can't okay, we've got an army. We're going to have to face an army. Why don't we create our own army? Why can't these symbols of justice be reborn? We can it's almost the
All this stuff
yeah,
is lying around. We need some
yeah,
people to step up and use it.
yeah. Once again, I'm going to date myself, but the introduction to the 70s classic $6 million man. We can rebuild him. We can make him better. We can make it faster.
Faster,
In
right.
her mind, she's thinking, we can rebuild the JSA. We can make it younger. We can make it powerful. We can do this. I got called. The staff called me. We have all these other items we could do. And Pat is,
He's like,
no, no, no,
no,
this
it's
is
a
a
bad
bad idea.
idea. Right.
And would not. Are they going to address Thunderbolt and the pen? Is someone going to be the new
Probably.
Say You?
I'm
Um,
hoping we'll get to see Jakeem Thunder
yeah,
because who is a character from Jeff Johns' JSA run,
yeah,
the heir to the Johnny Thunder, and
yeah. And the only thing we didn't mention, and I don't know really know if we had the right time to talk,
yeah,
but Courtney and Cameron had a nice little moment together,
right, they
which is
did.
kind of nice. The two, the the son of the villain and the hero, and Courtney going, I'm new here, I'm trying to learn everyone's names, your name starts with a C, my name starts with a C, and
My name
this,
starts with a C. No.
yes, and and he is the one who painted Yolanda's locker because they had written,
Well,
you know,
that was something else I wanted to talk about. So,
yeah,
Yolanda, who we know is going to become the next Wildcat,
right,
especially if you've read Infinity Incorporated. Spoilers. That we find out that Cameron, after Mean Girl Cindy and her little hench girl, um, must have vandalized her locker, writing "slut" all over it.
right,
So essentially, they're slut shaming.
yes,
And even after Courtney confronts them about it, which I thought was nice of Courtney to do to try to stand up,
yeah,
um, but Yolanda just wants it like, look, just leave it alone. Um, they, like it's just going to make things worse. And then we find out that hey, all that spray paint was covered over by a mural of flowers, and we find out yeah, it was painted by Cameron Mahkent. And there's a little bit of back and forth in class. So kind of hinting that I think that Cameron is going to be like maybe they'll hook up, and it'll be
hmm,
that oh hey we're a couple, but like well my dad's a supervillain and my stepdad is a superhero.
yeah.
So and I'm a superhero. So this could get awkward once the truth comes out. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think that they're setting that up. It's really good. I'm my my only nitpick, Charles,
Yes.
is it appears that um, we we are not necessarily going to have the parental connection between the new versions of the JSA and the original, right?
Yeah.
That this
Yeah.
is just people she's going to pick.
Yeah, I know, and I think that's kind of a lost opportunity, but it does speed things up.
Yes,
The way
absolutely.
that they're doing it, and I'm sure that's the reason for this, because yeah, in the comics, and we're going to find out that more about that next week,
Yes,
because Yolanda's going to become Wildcat in the next episode,
right.
and so in the comics, Yolanda had she was essentially like a quote unquote niece, not really technically a niece, but someone that Ted Grant, the original Wildcat, saw as a niece,
Yes,
and because she was the daughter of this boxer that was a friend of his, and so he looked after her and whatnot. So she saw him as a mentor, and then because she had her own cat-like powers, after the original Wildcat was injured in Crisis on Infinite Earths, she steps up and becomes the second Wildcat. But here, yeah, we're gonna see, and we get the the bit here at the end where Courtney goes back to JSA headquarters without Pat, takes all the JSA stuff, intending to
yes,
like, okay, you get to be a hero, you get to be a hero, everybody
yes.
gets to be a hero,
Yeah,
and apparently Yolanda's going to be the first person on her list.
yeah. So I do think that that was a wise story choice. Like, okay, we're going to um, we're going to establish that the all the villains stayed in Blue Valley, but now that we're going to have hero descendants
Right.
also in Blue Valley, so I get that. I am kind of looking forward to seeing how Courtney decides how does she draft her team.
Right.
Like, okay, and so it's going to be pretty clear why she picks Yolanda because of her athleticism and skill. We get that, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, we'll see. And I also, as a big Dr. Midnight fan,
Yeah.
I was very happy that they introduced the idea of Hootie,
Yes.
Dr. Midnight's owl,
Mhm.
and
Now,
who we're told here is, like, look, he's been waiting around. Like he's very special, and because of that, probably that's why he hasn't died after all these years. And he's like, it's almost like he's waiting for Dr. Midnight to come back. But obviously, the original Dr. Midnight probably isn't going to come back. And presumably, Hootie is going to end up with Beth
yes.
as Hootie officially confirms her or whatever as Dr. Midnight's successor. I'm guessing.
And I assume Hootie, there is a way for him to leave, go hunt, and come back.
I would
You
hope
know.
so because
Yeah. So that's
otherwise,
why
yeah, he's
he's
just locked
really
in there.
hungry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I
Um,
they probably yeah, there's probably some window or something that he's able to fly out of and come back and
yeah.
stuff. So
I am. I I will probably talk more about this next week, but I've always been a big Ted Grant Wildcat fan. I love the
yeah,
idea that he was a boxer. Supposedly, in a lot of mythology, he trained Bruce Wayne on how to fight.
right.
There was
In the
and
the original
yeah,
continuity and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And what was nice is just this week for my birthday, comic writer Ron Martz sent me an email
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey, for your birthday, would you want me to introduce you to another comic writer who's a big Springsteen fan?" I go, "Oh, absolutely." So Stephanie Phillips, who has written a lot of Dark Horse and stuff, but she recently did a Wildcat one shot for Valentine's Day, a special Valentine's Day shot.
Okay.
She's in, so she is a huge Springsteen fan, and she's going to join me. But it was kind of
Oh,
fun that
cool.
she, she had just done a Wildcat story,
Right.
and then we're doing that. So I'm really pumped about next week
Yeah.
to see and how much of Ted Grant's legacy is going to be included in this discussion.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. And it'll be yeah. Hopefully, we'll get to know more and because with obviously without that connection, that direct connection between Yolanda and Ted.
Yeah.
We'll see. I have to see how they develop that a little
Mhm.
bit, and we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anything else about this episode?
I cannot think of
All
anything.
right. So, what's your favorite quotes? Do you have any favorite quotes?
Yes, I have a few. I don't have a ton, but there
Uh,
was some nice given forth. But
Back and forth. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm gonna just give you two. Uh, Pat says, "Okay, Court. Even if there are other members of the ISA here, we need to proceed carefully, lay low, make a plan." And Courtney, being Courtney, "I have a 3-point plan. Find them, surprise them, kick their asses."
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then just the ending. I loved how she breaks back in. She's grabbing all those things. She looks at the pen, grabs it anyway, and then let's go do some recruiting. And I just was like, yes. How about you,
Yes.
Charles?
Yeah, because yeah, and that's what makes me think Jakeem Thunder, because Jakeem the Thunderbolt is kept in a pen.
Right.
His and for Jakeem, the Thunderbolt is actually Johnny Thunder because
Yes.
the two merge. So be curious to see about that. All right, my favorite quotes I think Pat and Courtney, where Pat says, "A kid died today, a child. That's why we can't go on." And Courtney replies, "A kid died today, and that's exactly why we have to, Pat." That's a
Absolutely.
very
That's a
that's a
very powerful quote.
yeah, I really like that. And then I love Pat torturing Mike with the oldie station. I thought that was rather good, where he's like, Pat's like, "I'm loving this Blue Valley oldie station, right?" Mike's like, "Please, God, make it stop."
Yeah.
Pat says, "Yeah, it's pretty good. This DJ's a hoot, huh?" Mike says, "Can you change the radio station? They play the same 10 songs over and over, and they're all fossilized garbage." And Pat says, "You know what? You want a little public radio? You got it. Straight out of Lincoln. Nice instead of straight out of Compton.
Yeah, I love that. It was just so perfect because that is a very father son, mother,
Yeah,
daughter. I love that.
yeah, that was good. And then The Icicle and the Wizard. That's my last quote here.
Okay.
Um, where Icicle tells William, William, you stumbled onto your powers. You killed your master before his lessons were complete, and it shows. That wand of yours, it's capable of showing much more, but instead of you thinking big, you just continue to think small. Even now, you're still performing the same old tired show. You've just changed one stage for another, and you spend your days making promises to people, but much like every politician, you don't keep them. And the same way you didn't keep your promise to me. And the Wizard's like, Jordan, and he starts talking, trying to explain. Icicle continues. He says, you seem to think that power comes from other people's perception of you, from recognition of applause, but that's not true power. No, William, true power doesn't need to be seen.
Yeah, well done. Really well. A nice interaction. Good stuff.
Yeah, it shows you what a big how Icicle view his whole viewpoint right there. I think.
Absolutely.
All right, so what's your rating?
So I like this one a lot. It's a little less than maybe, but I still give it 8.5 episodes of the dating game.
Yeah, what's the dating game?
Yes, that was a great line.
Yeah, because obviously, yeah, anyone of Courtney's generation is not going to know what the dating
No,
game is.
that talk
No.
about a politically incorrect show that could not come
Yes.
back modern. You
No,
not
no.
see a reboot of the dating game.
Well, no, no, no. Now it's just called The Bachelor,
Oh, good
apparently.
point. I guess so. I had not thought of that. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
How about
So
yourself?
my rating is also down from last time. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 frozen wizard wands.
Nice. Very good.
So rest in peace, wizard.
Hmm.
All right. Let's see. Before we get into Phantom Zone news, somebody had a birthday
Yes.
that over this past week. So I want to talk just really briefly about how your birthday went.
My birthday went great, Charles. I got a new headset.
Yeah.
I got a Superman drink glass. That was really nice, and a couple other gifts that were pretty cool. I woke up, and when I went to go leave the my bedroom, there was a happy birthday sign pasted on my doorknob, the bedroom doorknob. And as
Right.
I went through, Chris after I'd gone to sleep had posted happy birthday signs, most of them with Bruce Springsteen's face on them throughout the house. And he and Linda took me out. We went to the first time. We have not gone out to eat since everything started.
Right,
And
with the
yeah, so
coronavirus.
we
Yeah.
went to a local burger and cheese fries place called Snuffers. That was amazing. A couple of interesting things.
Did you actually eat in the restaurant or did you bring
No,
it
we
home?
actually ate in the restaurant, and we had social
Was it crowded?
distancing.
Was it
It
crowded?
wasn't crowded at all. The
Oh, good.
waitresses never took off their mask.
Good.
Um, they had paper menus, and when you asked for salt and ketchup, they brought you a container of ketchup, like in a little plastic cup,
Yeah,
and they brought
disposable. Yeah.
salt packages.
Okay.
So, and then when I asked for Splenda for my iced tea, they brought me, and when I saw the disposable salt, I said, "Are you gonna have to throw all this away?" And they're like, "Yes. So if you want to take the Splenda packages home, please do, because we're just gonna throw them away." Um, but we had a great time, and it was a lot of fun. Um, thank you very much for the well wishes. A lot of people on
Yeah,
social media had nice things to say about me, but Chris and Linda made it very, very special, and so ready for the a new year.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Well, congratulations and happy birthday,
thank you, sir.
belated, once again. And I hope you got something cool for your birthday.
I did. Like I said, I got a new headset. I got, I
Yeah,
got some fun stuff. It was really good. And
good.
what was really good is my Yeti coffee cup had been starting to, the Yeti itself is fine, but the lid had given up, and I'd bought some
Yeah.
replacement lids. And Linda found a brand new Yeti coffee cup with this kick butt, um, seal lid, so that was almost the best thing. I was like, oh,
Excellent.
a new coffee cup. So it's very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
So
So
have you and lovely Lori gone out to eat outside in a restaurant yet?
we have not, because we're just bringing stuff back to the
Sure, I
house.
get it.
So we're trying to play it safe, especially because of my parents.
Absolutely.
So because of uh, I can't get sick
Right.
by,
Right. No,
by
you can't. I mean, you
so
can't.
so
Yeah.
we're so we're so we're being more careful than most people,
You should be. Wisely said.
and so but we'll find out. We'll figure out something to do because my birthday is coming up in a couple weeks, so.
Oh, nice.
We'll see about that. All right. Fandom Zone news, just really quickly. Um, the Batwoman TV series. You may or may not already be aware of this, but apparently, in their infinite wisdom, they've decided to replace and we talked about how Ruby Rose has left the show. Well, instead of just recasting Kate Kane, they decided, well, hey, we're just going to replace Kate Kane as well
Right.
with a brand new character, not just a brand new actress. Variety confirmed that apparently they've looking to bring in a new lead character from which was leaked from some casting information that was released, named Ryan Wilder, and is described as likable, messy, a little goofy, and untamed. She's also nothing like Kate Kane, the woman who wore the bat suit before her. With no one to keep her on track, Ryan spent years as a drug runner, dodging the GCPD and masking her pain with bad habits. A girl who would steal milk for an alley cat could also kill you with her bare hands. Ryan is the most dangerous type of fighter, highly skilled and wildly undisciplined, an out lesbian, athletic, raw, passionate, fallible, and very much not your stereotypical all American hero. Well, gee, doesn't that sound great? So I think personally, I think this is a huge mistake because I wanted to watch a show about Kay Kane. I was a fan of Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams III's Batwoman in Detective Comics and later her Batwoman solo series. That's the character I want to watch. I don't want to watch a different character that's just a replacement. And so I don't know what your thoughts, but I think this is a huge mistake by the show.
So I'm going to preface this saying I I always think it's unfair to judge the product before we've seen it. And I
Right.
know you feel the same way because
Right.
you often have you've said when we replace the doctor, when we do things, you're like, okay, people, give it a chance, give it a
Right.
chance. So I'm going to throw that aside. I know we both are of
Yes.
that mindset. Everything on the show is based on the connection she has with Bruce Wayne,
Right.
with the Crows, with
With her
her
her father,
father,
her
her
Beth.
stepsister,
Yep.
Lucia,
Yep.
Fox, the descendant. Everything is built around that. Why make that change? And now I don't want to sound controversial, but
Right.
okay, we're going to give a totally new character. She's got a totally different background, but we can't offend anybody by not having her be lesbian.
Right.
Because what is the purpose of her being lesbian if you changed everything else? Just because you
Yes.
don't want to make the lesbian community unhappy? I just I don't know what they were thinking, and I don't know if their worry was that we're going to tick off all the Ruby fans by recasting her. But this was a mutual decision. It
Yeah.
isn't like they fired her. She has said, I want to go on. I think you and you've Spartacus is the best example. Andy was ill, so they had to put in another actor, but you can do this and you can keep the same thing going on. I just
Soap operas do it all the time.
Yeah, and it is.
just recast the role, like, okay, someone, I mean, they do it with James Bond. Nobody seems to have a
No,
problem with that.
and
So
yeah.
why can't we do it with Kate Kane? I don't get it.
So I don't, maybe,
It just,
Paul Williams is going to be the new Batman,
yeah,
right? We're just all
yeah.
like, okay,
But I mean, but I
yeah,
have to wonder about the supporting cast because, like, well, why do we need her father around? Why do we need her sister around?
yeah.
Like,
Her
or that we
former,
don't we don't Alice. We don't need Alice
yeah,
around.
like
So
how? What's Alice's motivation now?
right, it's just like, oh, hey, my sister's dead or whatever. So I guess you're my arch enemy now, and you lose that connection, and
Yes,
also because Kate was Bruce's cousin, you
yes,
lose that family connection.
right.
So it just seems like a token ploy. Like, okay, as long as we make her a lesbian, it doesn't matter.
Right, and it does it everything. I mean, the whole show. And get me wrong, Rachel Scarzan, I always can never say no, has been a brilliant as Alice. She is a great villain,
Right.
and she is so um, crazy and evil, yet so likable. Like you pulled for Alice up until, and I still pull for her, but like, the way she ended up killing her best friend, because she's so obsessed with the power. This was a really good first season, and I will go in with open eyes and I will wish for the best, but it does not seem to be the smartest thing for me at
No.
all.
And like with Doctor Who, it's still the same character. It's just a different actor playing that same character in a different body.
Absolutely. And you
So
could have
so
done the
so
same thing.
right, exactly. So it's just like audiences are, we're hip. We know it's a TV show.
Right.
So just have a different. It's like if it was a stage performance,
Yes.
and one actor had left the role to go do off to do something else. You're not going to stop the play.
They do that all the
You
time on Broadway. All the
exactly. So
time.
why can't they do it here? I
Yeah.
don't get it.
I don't
So
understand at
so it's
all.
just like yeah, it's not the character I want to
Yeah,
watch.
I agree.
Put it that way. All right. Nothing against whoever they end up casting, but it's not the character I'm interested in
Yeah, and
at the moment.
yeah,
And they could change my mind,
they
but
could, but I agree with you. I'm glad you brought this up.
I think it's very unlikely. Let's just put it that way. All right.
Absolutely.
Phantom Zone fan mail. We actually have some fan mail,
Yay!
so I hope you don't mind
No,
if we read
please.
that. So we got a letter to both of us from Adrian from Wisconsin.
Yay!
So cheers, Adrienne. She's written to us on other podcasts, but writing to us about Stargirl and Flash question mark.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I thought I'd read that email.
Please
She
do.
goes she goes, "Hi Charles and Jesse." So hi Adrienne. Thank you for writing in. Do you know how Stargirl fits into the CW's Arrowverse? Post crisis, there's only one Flash, and the person pictured on the poster in the JSA's headquarters wasn't Earth One's Barry Allen. It should have been Earth One's Flash. Or am I totally misunderstanding how the events of Crisis destroyed the multiverse? Or could more than one Flash have survived and made it to Earth One and we didn't know? Or are they trying to set Stargirl up on a different Earth even though the multiverse is gone? Help! I'm so confused. Maybe I should repeat to myself, it's just a show. I should really just relax.
Never.
MST3K MST3K reference for you. You don't yes, as a huge MST3K fan, I definitely appreciate that reference. I don't read the comics, so I don't only have the Arrowverse to go on. I'm hoping you can help fill the gaps. Thanks, Adrian from Wisconsin. So thank you, Adrienne. Great questions.
Great
So,
questions.
all right. So you want an answer? The answer is the flash on that wall, on the banner, was not Barry Allen, not intended to be Barry Allen, but Jay Garrick, the original Golden Age Flash from the very first one that DC Comics published in 1940s. The member of the Justice Society of America. So Courtney is on a different Earth than Earth One's Barry Allen. So
I thought they changed where everyone was on one Earth now.
No. Courtney is on Earth 2.
Okay, there. I
So
thought the whole crisis thing, they put everything on just one world now.
no. If you watch the end of Crisis Part 5,
Okay,
they showed various heroes on different Earth, like the Titans are on a different
okay,
Earth.
okay,
Stargirl and Stripe are on a different Earth. They're on Earth 2.
okay,
So it's not the Earth 2 that we saw in the Flash TV show. It's a new Earth 2.
okay.
So which is a more, I think, traditional Earth 2, like we know from the comic books.
Okay.
So consequently, this Earth has a different Flash,
But
and his name is Jay Garrick.
but on Supergirl, they talked about that now then, because Supergirl used to be on a different world, but now then she's
And,
on the same world with
right.
Flash and Green Arrow.
Yes, and also Black Lightning. So
Okay,
essentially, Crisis, what that did was bring Supergirl's world and the show and Black Lightning show into the main Arrowverse, Earth One,
right.
Earth Prime, if you will.
Okay.
And but Stargirl, this show, is still on a different Earth.
And since they both show up on CW, I understand the confusion.
Right.
You know?
It is very confusing.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, we don't
That's
have
to
one
your
Earth.
best of understanding. That's what
Yes.
they're going for.
Yeah. So I think that was that. So they didn't have to worry about. So I don't expect, at least right now, I don't expect any crossovers with Stargirl and Stripe appearing in the Arrowverse crossovers. I don't think that's going to happen. At least not for the foreseeable future, or at least right now they're not on the same Earth. They're on a different Earth. So yes, it is confusing. Um, but so yes, so right now Stargirl and Stripe are on Earth 2. Everybody else is on the main Earth, and whether you want to call that Earth 1 or what have you. Um, so that's why they're not connecting, and this is why there's a different Flash in this universe, in this on this Earth. So I hope that helps clarify things. I know it's confusing, um, but um, but just yeah, just don't think that there's going to be crossovers anytime soon. I guess.
Well,
So
Jeff Johns has said they certainly might do that in the future, but this
right.
season is all about setting up their own world. Okay, good.
Now my question is, well, if Jay Garrick is dead, the Jay Garrick Flash that we saw in the banner on Stargirl, is there going to be a new Flash on Earth 2?
So, and you wonder, is there, and we saw Jay Garrick gave his life in the
Right.
crisis. So, did he not die during this last battle in
Yeah.
Stargirl's world? I don't know.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. But for right now, there aren't any, as far as I know, there aren't any plans to bring a new Flash
Yeah,
in Stargirl.
I don't think so either. Okay.
So we'll see. So Adrian, I hope that helps answer your question. If not, keep asking more questions because we're more than happy to answer anything you might have, and do our best because we know that everybody isn't as big into the comics like we are. So
Absolutely.
so if you're equally confused out there, like Adrienne, please write to us at phantomzonecast@gmail.com, just like she did, and we'll be more than happy to read your letter on the email or here on the podcast. So that's phantomzonecast@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us at Phantom Zone Cast on Twitter, Facebook, of course, the Phantom Zone Podcast, or on Instagram at Phantom Zone Podcast. And Jesse, where can they reach you on the
So
interwebs?
you can see me on Twitter at Jesse Jackson DFW. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Jesse Jackson, though I don't spend a lot of time on either one. You can hear Charles and I talk about Doctor Who every week. We are currently going through classic Who episodes on Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, found on this very same network. You can, coming up, probably end of June, 1st of July, you will be bringing back from a slight hiatus, Titan Talk, where we will be discussing Doom Patrol, available on the DC Universe. Charles
Season
and I'll be
two.
talking. Yes, so
Yeah.
we're excited about that. And then I do a really small podcast with a bunch of friends of mine called How Many, We just went through it. We'll have an episode coming out in a couple weeks talking about the celebrity deaths of 2020. And then, of course, Set Lusting Bruce, the Bruce Springsteen podcast, which Charles has an episode coming up in a couple weeks where I talk to music fans from around the world, mostly about Bruce Springsteen. So, Charles,
Yes.
in addition to those great episodes, there's other things where they can hear your fine voice and read your fine work. How can they?
I don't know about my fine voice. My voice is kind of shot from all this bronchitis. But so as for me, you can reach me at Charles Skaggs on Twitter, at Charles Skaggs on Instagram. Would love to hear from you. Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio. And my blog, Geeky Things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about all the stuff we talk about here on the Phantom Zone podcast. All kinds of comic book sci-fi news, news of my other podcasts that I do for Southgate Media, including the aforementioned Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, where we talk about all things Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, etc. Titan Talk, the Titans podcast, where, like Jesse said, we're going to be talking Doom Patrol Season 2 here at the end of June, and Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast that I do with Zan Sprouse, wife of comic book artist Chris Sprouse, where we talk about all things Twin Peaks, David Lynch, etc., and have an absolute ball talking about that. And like Jesse said, I'm also going to be on an upcoming episode of Set Lusting Bruce, the Bruce Springsteen podcast, where he and I sat down and had a nice little chat about my various diverse musical tastes growing up and all the concerts I've been to, and I thought it turned out rather well, in my opinion.
I thought it came out great. Absolutely.
So if you want to hear me talk about music for a change, please check that out.
Absolutely.
And hopefully whenever Jesse releases it.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, so stay tuned.
Unlike these shows, I book through. I record 3 or 4 episodes in a row in advance because you never know when you're around a guest. With Charles and I, we always have time to talk. There's always a new episode to talk about. So.
Yeah, and I think you kind of post in bundles, don't you? A few episodes here, a few episodes there.
Try to do once a week and sometimes 2 a week.
Okay, got it. All right, so hopefully it won't be much longer.
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Everybody can check that out. All right, so next time on the Phantom Zone, come back. This is going to be a good one. Episode 180 of the Phantom Zone podcast, we're going to talk Wildcats. So as Jesse talked about, he's very eager to look for this episode, being a Ted Grant fan, but as we were introduced to the Yolanda Montez Wildcat, and going to be played, obviously, of course, by Yvette Monreal, the actress who's playing Yolanda. So curious to see her as Courtney's first recruit for the new JSA. Should be a lot of fun. And Jesse, any final thoughts?
No, just this is a great series for the summer. It's been a highlight. I'm looking forward to every week, and as always, it's fun talking with you about this great series.
Exactly. So we had fun. I hope you guys had fun listening to us, and if so, please tell your friends about us. We'd love to help grow our podcast. So anything you could do to help spread the word would be appreciated. And then come on back next week. Episode 180, Wildcat, right here on the Phantom Zone podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.